Oh, you know what I just realized? It's Saturday, isn't it? Sorry I've been away again, but things such as life get in the way. But guess what? Here I am now. You know what I think we should talk about today? Something of vital importance. Toxic people, okay? I think this is going to be something maybe everybody can relate to a little bit, and I'd like to apologize up front, because you probably can relate, and I know how sometimes that can hurt. Here's the funny thing about toxic people. A lot of times, they don't know they're toxic, you know? A lot of people kind of have this own little world that they create, just like we create on canvases or whatever other mediums we use. We have these worlds that we create because we like to escape sometimes. But you know the thing about escapes? Sometimes we've got to come back to reality, and sometimes reality comes crashing back to us, doesn't it? You know, back to what I was saying initially, some people live in those worlds of escape, and they don't know how to differentiate between the reality that the rest of us fear. So you'll hear people say, oh, so-and-so's in their own world, or this person, they're living in their own reality, and it's fine for those little momentary escapes. That's why we have things like art and music, and the list just goes on and on. We all have the different ways that we escape, but we've got to remember, we live in reality. And for some people, reality is quite different. The thing that concerns me the most is the people that you talk to, and they'll look you dead in your eyes. And they'll tell you a story, they'll tell you a tale, they'll tell you a bit of woe, they'll tell you these horrible things that have happened, or whatever the case may be. It varies from person to person, doesn't it? But they begin to weave these intricate stories, and if you're not careful, you can get sucked in and start believing it as well. But over time, they start forgetting these tales that they tell, and they put little loopholes in their story. And if you start listening a little bit closer, and a little bit closer, you start realizing they're full of poo. And you can interchange or inter-exchange, or just exchange. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, you know how I do. But they forget these things, and they forget the stories that they tell, and so you're trying to make sense of it all. And eventually you realize maybe these people aren't who you think they are. These toxic people, eventually, they buddy up to you, and they tell you all these things that you want to hear, so you bring them in a little bit closer, and a little bit closer again. And it gets to this point where even once you realize that maybe they're not the best for you, at least not in this time in your life, and probably not in their life, you got to start pushing them away. And that's okay. I think we forget that. And I think we forget that sometimes we don't need to be around these toxic people. We have no obligation. A lot of us have even family members that we feel that we need to hold on to a little bit closer just because we share the same DNA. We have those same bloodlines. And I'm here to tell you, if there's a toxic family member in your life, maybe it's time to push them away a little bit. And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know that we look back on years past and maybe we see things. And maybe there were times where things were fantastic, things were great. But things may not always be that way because, again, these toxic people know how to manipulate people just enough. Or maybe you think, I don't know if I can do that. Maybe I told them something maybe I don't want the rest of the world to know, and I don't want that getting out. That's human nature. But is it worth it? Is it worth it to your own mental health? Is it worth it to your own loves? Is it worth it to a lot of things in your life to allow these toxic people to get in there, to hang on and to hold on? I know for me, in many cases, it's not. I've got relatives that I have no connection with anymore. And I feel no obligation simply because of our shared DNA or our shared history. Sometimes you just got to move on. If you're at a job for many years and things just go south and maybe they're cutting your pay and maybe they're just not treating you as they should, what do? You walk away in most cases. Now, I know, again, it's easy for me to sit here and say that. It's not always easy to walk away, is it? It's a hard thing. Some of the hardest things you can ever do in life. But eventually, you got to stop and you got to take care of yourself, okay? That's the most important thing at the end of the day. You got to say, you know what? The season of us getting along, the time where we have our relationship, those days are over. And it's okay. You can cut those bonds. You can cut those ties. And you can walk away. And I know it's hard because I've done it time and time again. Again, I have relatives that I won't get into specifics on. but on both sides of my family that they are no longer family to me, and I'm okay with that. And the same goes to friendships that we kind of cultivate over the years. There comes a point in your life where you're going to see them, and you may see them a little bit differently. You have people in your life that feel maybe they're entitled to some of the things you worked hard for. You have people in your life that want to take advantage of things that you've done and created, and that's not right. So, for those people, occasionally we want to come to our Dysons of life, and we want to take them. We want to take those toxic people, and we want to come over here, and we just maybe not beat the devil out of them, but we want to give them opportunities where we beat some sense into them. Sometimes you can make people listen. Sometimes they don't want to listen. And when you explain yourself and how you feel or how they made you feel, if they don't change, if they don't care, it's time to look at them and say, goodbye. And that's okay. Because you know what we need to do in life? Occasionally, as we grow, we paint a new canvas. We get to start over occasionally. When I worked for old Uncle Sam and moved from this place to that place and another place, every few years I kind of got to start over. So by default, I had kind of a built-in mechanism where I could leave some of those toxic people behind. Maybe I'd see them again. Maybe I wouldn't. Who's to say? But I had an opportunity. And as I get older and I don't move around as much, I'm kind of sticking in one spot. I don't have that same opportunity to kind of uproot and start over. But I still need to keep my circle a little bit neat and tidy. So every year, my circle of trust gets a little bit smaller and smaller. I know that might sound doom and gloom, but don't cry for me, Argentina. Because as I get older, I also realize that as that circle gets closer, the people that I allow in it are higher quality people. They're better people for me. And I'm not trying to downgrade or downplay anybody. But for me, the people that I have slowly pushed out of my life, they're just not the right people for me. Every year I see it happen more and more. I've heard the tales of woe from other people and how they have people in their lives that they don't want to be around and they just don't know how to get away. The only answer is to get away from them. Maybe you've got to unfriend them on Facebook. Maybe you don't answer that text. Baby steps. That's a lot of things in life. Baby steps. Start small and work forwards. You can't look back. You can't change things in the past. And a lot of these toxic people, they don't want to change things they've done. So you got to take that first step because you are strong. You are the one that can do this. You have the ability to make your life better simply by getting rid of those toxic people. So, take those first steps where you can. Don't announce it. Don't go on Facebook and say, I'm doing a Facebook purge. You look ridiculous. Just slowly push these people out. You already know who's not right for you. If they don't realize it, that they're lost. Okay? They don't value you. They don't treasure you. And you're amazing. Remember that. So push those toxic people away. Don't allow that entitlement into your life. Alright? I know I'm not. And each day, again, that circle of trust gets a little bit smaller. And that's okay. Until next time, it's your boy OG Bobby. Much love and respect. You don't need toxic people, do you?